Hi, this is Tim Elliott, speaker for On Purpose session. This is a quick recording in case all technically goes wrong. Just excuse me while I share my screen. Okay, we'll start officially. As I said, I'm Tim. I don't do one of these usually long personal intros because you're not here to understand my work history, but it's relevant today, so I'll make it super quick. So I'm a climate reality leader and entrepreneur in residence at Nottingham University and have 25 years experience in brand and marketing strategy, having been agency side and client side and an owner and a successful exit of an agency as well as a CMO for an investment company. But for many of those 25 years, for probably 14 or 15 actually, my work has been around purpose and meaning and brand and communication of that to teams and customers, right? So I'm quite excited to share a few thoughts with you today. So today I'm mainly part of an organization called the Spill Team, which you'll see intermittently on the slides as we go through today, who's a purpose-driven global collective of human-centered designers. And our purpose is to answer a question, because we think questions make powerful purpose because you seek to answer them, right? So ours is, how might we make the world a better place through human-centered design? And most of my work through the Spill Team and personally since around 2014, as I said, have been all about purpose and impact at its heart. So I'm going to move forward and we'll crack on with today's topic, which is this: on purpose. Now, I think that little phrase has so much weight for entrepreneurs, for creatives, and for leaders. I think entrepreneurs need to think strategically, be intentional, and make good decisions on purpose. Purpose is also the reason you exist beyond making money. But finally, though, I believe purpose, and I've seen purpose over the years, will act as a magnet. So purpose acts as a magnet for your brand and business. It attracts the right people to your business, whether that's team members, investors, suppliers, and of course, yes, customers, but also repel those who don't believe what you believe, right? It's all about getting the right people to come with you on your entrepreneurial journey, and purpose is a way that you can do that. And that's why it's important, I think, for you to know your purpose. Now, purpose, I will clarify for a second, because in the world of businesses, it often gets misunderstood and misaligned a little. A purpose can be an ESG factor, so environmental, societal, governmental, humanitarian, all of those good things, which are amazing if your product, service, and business helps tackle those challenges that we need to tackle as a human race. But also, it can be as simple as solving a problem or meeting a need for a group of people that you choose to serve, right? So it can be a problem, a solution to a problem, a opportunity to meet a need, or something deeper, something outside of business that motivates you to go forward. But whatever it is, it will be that magnet. Now, purpose isn't a new idea, although it's definitely more mainstream today than it was when I started to bang on about it. So I want to take us back a moment so you really understand the kind of history of purpose before we move to something more practical for you. So let's step back to set the scene. This guy is Milton Friedman. And in 1970, September 1970, Milton Friedman wrote a path-breaking essay at the time on corporate purpose, right? And a quote that he came up with in that set the scene for many years, for decades actually, said the purpose of business is to increase its profits. It was in the New York Times, which was a super credible paper by this point. But as I said, it underpinned the thinking on corporate purpose, on business purpose for decades, but it's not what we recognize today. But I'm going to skip us forward a little actually to 2019. So there's an organization called the Business Roundtable, and every year they publish a statement of what's going on in leaders and business owners' minds, right, in the CXO, and what lies ahead, what the status quo looks like. And in August 2019, the Business Roundtable issued its latest statement on purpose of a corporation. I'm going to read a bit to you. Businesses play a vital role in the economy by creating jobs, fostering innovation, and providing essential goods and services. Businesses make and sell consumer products, manufacture equipment and vehicles, support the national defense, grow and produce food, provide healthcare, generate and deliver energy, and offer financial communications and other services that underpin economic growth. So we've still got that economic growth factor in there, but now there's an addition, right? We start to hear different, more purpose as we know it, context. While each of our individual companies serve its own corporate purpose, we share a fundamental commitment to all of our stakeholders. So those stakeholders highlighted mean all the usual suspects in your world, customers and community. And this statement was widely endorsed by all CEOs. Around the same time, we saw Alan Jope, the CEO of Unilever, come out and prove purpose increases sales. Actually, it was 2020, I think. So he did a talk at the Cannes Lions Festival. If anyone's in marketing or creativity, you've probably heard of that. But his talk was called Creativity Can Save the Walruses, because we weren't allowed to mention purpose, but he wanted to talk about purpose. So he invented that title with walruses in, which is a great move. Love a walrus title. Should have called this Walruses, maybe. But he went on to say that within their brand, their portfolio of brands that Unilever hold, 75% of turnover growth was solely coming from purpose-driven brands in their portfolio. Dove is a great example. And he also pledged that within a short number of years, if he couldn't find a true purpose for each of his brands, those brands would be exited from the portfolio, right? Which is a multi-million pound decision to dump some of these brands. But even more recently than that conversation, it's kind of, the conversation officially has evolved around the pandemic, right? The COVID-19 pandemic has laid bare the profound interconnectedness between businesses and the broader world in which they operate. Employees, customers, stakeholders expect a CEO to be able to articulate where the company stands on critical issues. So I'm going to read that little bit again. So that's from the Business Roundtable. The COVID-19 pandemic has laid bare the profound interconnectedness between businesses and the broader world in which they operate. Employees, customers, and stakeholders now expect a CEO to be able to articulate where the company stands on critical issues. So now we can see that people expect there to be something beyond the products and services and experiences we provide. They expect it. So I want to put forward the idea, right, and the idea that we're going to explore a bit in this topic, right, that Where there's expectation in the people that you serve, there is a need to fulfill that in the market. Your purpose can become a competitive advantage. And where there is a competitive advantage, there's an opportunity for growth. Right? So purpose becomes that thing that can drive your growth. That's all well and good, I'm sure. A little bit of purpose history lesson. And I'm sure by now you're asking, how do you build a brand and grow on purpose today? So I want to spend the rest of the time with you answering that question. So for me, purpose firmly lives in brand strategy world. And the definition of brand is the meaning people attach to you and your offer. This means that purpose is the meaning-making ingredient in that recipe. So being meaningful to the people you choose to serve is absolutely key for you to grow effectively. If people don't know what you stand for, what your meaning is, how will they be able to choose you? So next, I'm going to break purpose down and share some simple questions you can answer for your brand and your purpose to help you really get to grips with the meaning-making ingredient in your organization. So these are the 4 questions we're going to explore in the next 10 or so minutes before we have Q&A. Right, they look easy, right? Questions you've already seen and come across many times. And I know it seems super simple, but these 4 questions hold in their answers the foundations of effectiveness. And in order to build a brilliant purpose-driven brand, you need to stand on solid foundations. So let's delve a little deeper into these 4, shall we? Why, who, how, and what? So why? Why do you exist beyond making money? Or more obviously, why have you chosen this purpose and why should anyone care? So to clarify a point I made earlier, a company's purpose can be many things. A change you want to see in the world, a just cause, an idea you want people to adopt, or as simple as solving a problem or meeting a need for a group of people. It's brilliant if you want to do your bit through business to meet one of the big environmental, social, and humanitarian challenges we face as this human family. But whatever you choose, whatever purpose is to you, it should be the thing that drives your actions. It should be a filter in the way that you see the world. The key to answering the why question is to be able to communicate your position clearly and concisely. Can you answer why you care and why you think we should too in a sentence? Seth Godin, a very famous marketer, has a great quote to do with this too. If you can't explain your position in 8 words or less, you don't have a position. This is the starting point. Why is the starting point? This is the first step of foundational effectiveness. So answer the why questions first, and then we can move on to the who. So who? Think about who cares about this purpose. Who believes what you believe? Who are your people? Who are your tribe? Who are your community? Who are your users and who are your ideal clients? Who will be those people who choose you because of this thing? Who are these people who are going to stick and be loyal to your products and services because purpose is the thing that got their attention and attracted you to them in the first place? Who does your purpose serve and why do they care? The who question has its foundations in effective sales and marketing strategy. I mean, I alluded to it a little bit in the introduction, but I've run sales teams and marketing teams in and out of organizations. So I know the power of understanding the people you choose to serve, right? The more you understand the people you choose to serve, the more effective you will be at engaging them, right? Understanding who you choose to serve, what drives them, and why and how you can help them, amazing competitive advantage, right? If you don't do that, you will be at a competitive disadvantage to those who do. So we've had why and who, that's halfway through. Next up is how. How does your purpose show up in the work you do? This is all about looking at the work you do through the lens of your purpose. Imagine you can hold your purpose up and look through the world of your business and your brand and see where it's on purpose. A bit like a heat map, right? So how does your product or service show up on purpose? How do you communicate your purpose? How does your purpose show up in your recruitment and culture? How do we measure if we're effectively on purpose? I'd like to mention two words here that are important, right? There, but maybe a slight tangent, but I think it will add context. Proof and truth. So proof and truth. So we've all heard the phrase greenwashing recently, I'm sure. Well, this is where you don't get stuck with that label or a label that feels like that, right? Reputationally. So how do you prove what you say is true about your purpose? How are you going to prove what you say is true? Because we live in an information age, a digital age, right? You've all got phones in front of you. Many of you may be watching this through a phone, right? So we have access to knowledge and information, right? People know how to search to check up a company. So figuring out how you prove what you say is true in regards to your purpose is absolutely key. And that leads us nicely on, actually, to the final question, to what? So if your purpose promises to do good or to make an impact of some kind, then you should be able to show and tell us how that happens. So there's many ways answering the what question. I'm going to focus on two main ingredients that I think are key, and we haven't got much time. So there's two ingredients to the what question. Number one is, what promises do you make? Now, I love the power of promises. I've used this in brand strategy for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, without a doubt. And I love the power of promises when building a purpose-driven brand, because no matter who we all are, right, no matter our background, experience, age, gender, ethnicity, right, we all understand the words I promise and what it means to break one. So when you promise something as a brand, right, you better be able to deliver on that promise. Right? It's really, really powerful. I don't expect you to make 10, 15, 20 promises. Maybe you make 2 or 3. Those fundamental truths and unmovable things at the center of your brand purpose. But what promises are you going to make? In addition to promises, there's another question I want to share, right? And that is, what stories are you going to tell? What stories are you going to tell that prove your purpose-driven promises true? What stories are you going to tell about the good work that you're doing? What stories are you going to tell about how you help people, right? Those people that you choose to serve. So we're just about to come to the end, actually, to a time where you get to ask questions. And yeah, in the last few minutes, just ask me questions. But what I think I'm going to do is just spend a couple of minutes recapping why you think of those questions. Right? This thing we call purpose is meaning making. It adds meaning to the products and the services and the experience is you create as entrepreneurs. That means that meaning, it acts like a magnet to attract the right customers and partners and stakeholders to you, right? But that magnet should be made so effectively, right? It should be strong enough to repel the people who don't believe what you believe, right? Because building brilliant brands on purpose and effective on purpose is very much about getting the right client. You might even be able to tell the story of that experience right now of how you've had a right client and they're not the right client, right? But it's important to build that thing that magnetizes, and then every action you do, every story you tell will make that magnet stronger, will increase the pull of that magnet. For that to be true, really, your purpose has to be built on solid foundations. It has to be effective, right? You have to test your purpose with your why, who, how, and what questions. But look, we've got 8 minutes left. I want to give you time to ask me questions, really, or if you want to delve any deeper in any of the ideas or things that we've come across today, or recover it. Thanks. I'm going to move to one side, the branded side, because I don't want to scare at my face. And there's a handy QR code on here, right, which will take you to a bunch of assets from the Spill team that are pretty cool if you like that. All right, thank you.